The brain is fundamentally wired to resist change. Even when the change is beneficial, the brain doesn't allow us to concentrate on an activity which is unpredictable. The reason is it wants to keep us safe. The resistance is not a sign of stubbornness or weakness. It is a feature of the brain's core design to save us from danger. Amygdala, a small structure in the limbic system, is highly sensitive to unpredictability. Writing is actually a highly complex activity. The outcome is unpredictable. If we do not have the habit of writing, and we will have more stress when we begin to write because of the unpredictability. Writing requires you to create something that did not exist before. Every new idea, every new sentence that we are writing is a step into uncertainty. A kind of fear creeps in when we begin to write. If I write this, what will people think of me? This is actually the fear of judgment or the fear of rejection. Will I be able to finish it? This is actually the fear of failure. Then we might ask, is this the right word or an idea? This is actually the fear of unpredictability or the fear of control. So this kind of fear creeps in when we begin to write. The result is the brain floods body with stress hormone. The amygdala perceives the uncertainty as a threat, and it suppresses the rational part of the brain, that is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for reasoning, thinking, and planning. Writing is actually a creative and a deep analytical process, and it demands more cognition, and it is actually cognitively demanding task. The brain resists in favor of the routine work because it doesn't like the change. Deep writing requires a sustained non-routine effort. So when you involve in writing, the prefrontal cortex will be activated, and you have to involve in deep thinking. When you do writing like this, the brain would say that that's a lot of work. Why can't you scroll through the social media messages? Why can't you check mails? Or why can't you concentrate on the routine work? This is how the brain will encourage us to focus on the routine work instead of concentrating on writing. Actually, the brain opts for the status quo or the current comfortable state. The result is anxiety, anger, procrastination, or sometimes the brain simply shuts down writing. This is actually the writer's block. So when we do a new task, the brain consumes a massive amount of body's energy. For example, when we learn driving, we consciously do every action. Actions such as pressing the accelerator, pressing the clutch pedal or the brake pedal, or handling the steering wheel. So every time when we do an activity, when we drive, and that would create a kind of pressure, and we will experience anxiety. When we experience anxiety, the brain is flooded with neural activities. And in spite of more neural activities, and the driving is not efficient because that is not the habit for us. We are not used to driving. Similarly, when writing, if you do not have the habit of writing, your brain consumes more energy and it would resist because the brain wants to work in a power saving mode. Only then you will have more energy, you can continue to concentrate on an activity. Since writing is a new activity, the brain doesn't allow you to concentrate on that. In spite of the initial resistance, the brain has the incredible capacity for change. That is through neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change by forming new neural connections by modifying the existing ones. This reorganizes the structure and the function of the brain in response to new experiences and learning. So when we are involved in a task, the brain rewires. Repeated activities can cause neurons to create new connections. So the initial resistance is the brain's alarm to save you from unpredictability and change. You can gradually strengthen the new neural pathways. Over time, newly formed writing behavior becomes the energy efficient habit. Then the resistance will fade away, and for which you have to make the brain to believe that it will get predictable results. Only then the emotional center, that is the limbic system, won't react. So for which what we have to do is, and we should make the brain believe that the brain would get the predictable result. How can we do it? Before you start to write, create an outline or a mind map or a structured path or a detailed plan. If you have the detailed plan, you are actually replacing the infinite uncertainty with a finite structured path. The brain can look at the outline and say, okay, it is not a mystery. This is a structured path. There is no danger in it. The certainty calms down the amygdala and you become creative. Now the prefrontal cortex will feel that the structure is predictable. Now the main arguments are predictable. Now we have to generate the ideas that are in the notes or in the plan. But in the course of generating, the brain will also generate newer ideas efficiently because the prefrontal cortex has taken over the charge. So we might not have written some ideas in the design, but when generating the ideas, we would generate newer ideas because we are writing with calm and confidence. And the limbic system is not activated now. You feel you enjoy writing. The outline actually will break the massive task into predictable subtasks. When a small step is completed, you get a kind of you get a minor sense of accomplishment. And this predictability will give you a kind of reward. And the frequent reward cycle will reinforce the new habit and makes the entire writing process pleasurable, and you would seem less threatening, and you will get more pleasure when writing. So when you get a kind of result, when you feel that you have come up with some quality ideas, that would motivate you. And this is how you have to reset your brain to write well, and this will really help you to write better, and you can get rid of the fear, and there won't be any uncertainty while you start to write. Thank you.